Hey folks, Wes here. I'm doing an update on the Fullstack Shack. This is something I built during the pandemic. I did a little video on it, but I never did a full tour of it. So this is our cottage. Lake is down there. We're here during the summers, but we come up in the winter sometime. And it's kind of nice. There's a ton of snow, like probably 3 feet here right now. So I'm gonna try to get into it and have a tour. Here we are inside the Fullstack Shack. So this was a tool shed and I got it heated, cooled, internet, all that stuff. I'll go through it all. Let's start with the desk here. So I code, I make videos for a living. So I need my whole recording setup. So I basically have a duplicate of what I have at home. And there's a couple little things here and there, but basically I can take my laptop, I can plug it in to my CalDigit dock, and boom, I can just keep coding from where I was. There's no setup or anything like that. I leave it out here in the cold year round, no issues with that. So I got my microphone, expander gate, USB interface. This is a Lumina camera. I have a nicer DSLR at home, but that one works decent. This is a BenQ Lite, 32-inch 4K display, same one at home. And then, of course, I've got my CalDigit. Everything plugs in and just plug one cord in and boop, you're ready to rock. Pretty cool view out here. So this is looking, the lake is the other way, but this is just looking out into nature, which is really nice. This desk I got on Kijiji Marketplace or something like that. And it was like, I don't know, $200-300 or something like that. It's just the perfect desk for this type of thing. Herman Miller Aeron, I scavenged that. It was broken. Bought a bunch of parts for it and fixed it up. Pretty good deal on that. So let's go into the build. I'll try to find a bunch of photos of what it looked like before. Just a regular old tool shed beforehand. There's some shovels and whatnot inside of it. I tried to use it without any insulation when the pandemic hit, and it was way too cold. So I quickly got an electrician in to run a bunch of wiring, and then the spray foam guys came and sealed the sucker right on up. So this is a 10 by 12 tool shed that was basically just that. It was a tool shed, it had shingles on it, it had siding on the outside, and then inside was just empty. So I had the whole thing spray foamed. I had a company come in and spray foam that. I had an electrician come in and he had to run a sub panel. You can see it's actually behind this nice photo here. And then he wired up the whole thing for me. And then at that point, the professionals had come in and I sort of came in. I had not done anything like this before, but I'm pretty good at figuring things out. So I ordered a bunch of tongue and groove pine, put that absolutely everywhere. It's obviously a cottage office, so it's got that whole cottage vibe to it. That stuff was pretty easy to install aside from a lot of the ceiling stuff. And then over here, I'm sort of just going for a red, green, if you know who that is, boomer humor type of vibe. So I've just been finding this type of stuff at yard sales and whatnot. So some pretty cool stuff, just chickens. And this is actually a hat that my grandpa gave me when he passed away. Livestock sales on Tuesday. A bunch of fishing stuff. This was really funny. This is $1 mittens. And then just lots of boomer humor and whatnot. So pretty fun to collect this type of stuff because there's no way my wife would let me have this crazy kind of stuff in the house. Flooring. This was not here the last time you saw it. This is called luxury vinyl plank or whatever. It's really nice because you come in here with your wet boots and it rains on it or whatever. Sometimes you have the door open during the summer and sometimes you get a little bit of rain. So it's nice. It's really good. I don't have baseboard done yet just because you get to the end of a project and you want to go swimming. So I don't know if I'll ever do baseboard, but you can kind of see that there's little cracks and stuff, things that need to be covered, but honestly, I don't care all that much. Oh yeah, these shelves, I bought a bunch of cherry from a local guy, and it was just like green cherry, meaning that it was not dried or anything like that, but I bought some nice, and then I bought these on Amazon, and I just sanded the crap out of it, and coated it in poly, and just made some really nice shelves out of it. They're not perfect. I knew they would do this. They bowed a little bit, but not too concerned about that. I think it actually looks pretty awesome. I made the sign with a router and just some scrap pine that I had lying around, and I think it's actually pretty fun. So it's like a really cool background. You have calls and whatnot. You get a really good background for people to see. Heating and cooling. So I had a little space heater, and I had to like turn it on at like 4 a.m. via a smart plug. And that was a bit of a pain. And then when the summer came around, I had one of those like standing air conditioning units that vented out there. And that was just, it worked great, but it was just so loud because I'm trying to record here and this thing would kick on and be like, brrr. So like, I always hate when you have to like dance around recording. I want to be set up. I want it to always be quiet, and I want to have good quality whenever I want. So what I ended up doing is I got rid of the space heater, I got rid of the thing, and I put in a mini split. So these things are awesome. So a mini split is there's a compressor unit outside. I'll throw some footage over top of that. And then you have the head right here. And the compressor runs and it cools the space in the summer. And it does the opposite, which is it's a heat pump. And it heats the space in the winter. And this thing is, like, I have it running right now. You probably can't hear it. It is super toasty warm in here right now. It takes like 20 minutes to heat this whole space up, and it works really, really nice. So I'd highly recommend, if you got a gym or garage or something like that, just put one of these things in. It works super well. The only like downside is I bought this at the height of COVID, and I couldn't find a 120 version. This is a tiny little space. I need a 120 volt version. They only had a 240 volt version. So I just bought it. And then luckily we had a sub panel put in so the electrician could run it, no problem. Some questions I get about the sound is like, isn't that going to be echoey? You essentially just made a wood box, and you might be listening to this right now and being like, yeah, it does sound kind of echoey. And I thought for sure I was going to have to put all kinds of sound treatments in here. But between the height of the ceiling, like this is, I don't know, the ceilings are probably 12 feet high, between the little grooves in the board so the sound waves can hit these things and bounce off of it, and then between the microphone I have like a really good expander gate on it that takes a lot of that out. And to my surprise, after a little bit of tweaking, it sounds very good coming off this microphone. So I was actually really happy about that. Didn't need to do any additional sound treatments. So let's talk about internet. So the first like year we had this thing called Bell, which is like LTE. It goes over the phone lines, and they would give you 100 gigs. And once you go over the 100 gigs was like $150 a month. And then once you go over the 100 gigs, I think it was something like $3 a gig. So just criminal, the amount. The kids were doing online school and whatnot. So because of that, I was doing all this like shady LTE. I was basically buying, I'm in Canada, but I was buying AT&T SIM cards and putting them in modems and running it off of that. And then when they stopped it, I put a new SIM card in. It worked, but it was a nightmare. Thankfully, we got Starlink because there's like no other good internet out here. And the Starlink has been very, very good. It's pretty decent speeds, about 10 megabits up, about 80 down. And then we have Wi-Fi over the whole property. You've probably seen this. I just ran a hardwire to it because when I'm recording, we have guests that are live, we have video. When we have latency, it sucks. So I just ran this across the snow. Eventually, I'm gonna bury one of these things and bring it up under the desk so I can have a hardwire all the time. But I just came up here and we're like, you know what, I need hardwire to work. Other than that, it's usually just Wi-Fi. I have a bunch of outdoor access points, and I'll go show you the setup outside. While we're walking over, I'll show you the actual mini split. Anytime I show this like heating cooling solution, I always get the Europeans being like, just be okay with being hot, open a window. And I don't know if you don't have such drastic temperatures over there, but it gets very cold in the winter and very hot in the summer. Like it would be over 32 degrees Celsius in there without the air conditioning, even with the windows open and fans going and whatnot. So I have to. It's not like they're always like, you Americans are so uncomfortable. I'm not American, and I'm fine with being a bit hot. So here's the mini split running. It's amazing because when I came here, it was covered in snow, and I dug it out and I turned it on, and immediately it kicked itself into defrost mode because it's essentially air conditioning the outside, and it ices up. So every hour or two it goes into defrost mode, melts all the ice, and you're good to go. But let's go into seeing the internet. So right here, that was my LTE antenna, because you don't get good cell signal right here. So I had to use these Yagi antennas to point it at a cell tower that was over there. That worked pretty good for a while, and then finally we got Starlink, and that has been rock solid. I think it's been almost 2 years now that we've had it, and I just put it on a 2x6, and it's kind of nice because if I do have to take it down, I can without having to climb anything, and it works great. It points right at the satellites, covers in snow, never had an outage due to any sort of weather, and we get some serious weather out here, so pretty sweet. But that's my commute to work. Let me know if you have any questions, and hope you enjoyed the Fullstack Shack.